tweet yes or no using the hashtag DigitalView. We'll round up the results at the end of the programme today. First then, when disaster hits, as it did in Nepal last week, most people's first instinct is to see what they can do to help. And of course, aid agencies have asked people not to travel to the country for their own safety, but an online army of volunteers have been supporting efforts without leaving the front rooms. Let's tell you a bit about the humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. They painstakingly analyse a variety of data to update often obsolete maps of remote parts of the world to give the charities a better picture of what's going on. Let's learn a bit more. Joining me now from Central London is a member of the organisation's board, that's Harry Wood. Harry Wood, thanks for joining us today. Now, what sort of raw data do you start with, first of all?
Street map for this kind of thing tends to be based on aerial imagery. So we're looking at aerial imagery from before the disaster, and we're looking at the map that we have there already and seeing what's missing on the map. Essentially, we're drawing along roads and around every building that we can see that's missing. So really trying to build up a much more detailed map of the area. And it's this detail that is so valuable for informing aid agency decisions on the ground, helping them to deliver their supplies, planning their routing, printing out and giving it to people delivering their aid trucks, or more advanced kind of geospatial analysis that they'll do on the data.
So in the moments since the disaster struck a week ago today, what fresh data have you been able to pull in to add to the overall picture?
Well, I'd say we're adding more and more detail. So what we actually had in the OpenStreetMap database already was quite a detailed map of the city of Kathmandu, because the OpenStreetMap community there has been very active for the past couple of years, adding all this detail in just because they wanted a good detailed map of their city. And that kind of local activism is really what OpenStreetMap is all about. But with the humanitarian OpenStreetMap team, in the past week, we've been able to really pounce on this area and boost the detail, adding a lot more detail around the edges of the city, and in particular in this mountainous region to the northwest that's been so badly struck by the earthquake.
I was going to ask you, because in good times, I suppose, data connections do exist. Since last week, a lot of communications have been completely failing, particularly in these areas outside the city, and they've been even more badly hit than Kathmandu, haven't they? Has that proved a bit of a headache?
Well, OpenStreetMap produces a map which you can view on openstreetmap.org, and you can browse around it and zoom in on it in much the same way as you might with other online maps. But it also produces many other types of output. And in fact, one of the real pluses of OpenStreetMap is because you can download the raw data for free with an open license. People have really innovated around particular offline technologies. So advanced ways of getting a nice printout would be a very simple kind of offline technology. People printing out a big poster that they'll pin up on their kind of disaster response control rooms and this sort of thing. But beyond printouts, there's also this idea of loading maps onto a device offline. So you can load the whole of the country of Nepal onto an Android app called OSM And, for example. Take that with you if you're an aid worker, and you've got this very detailed map that you can zoom in on and see exactly what's going on. You can take that with you as you enter the disaster zone, where, of course, you're unlikely to get an internet connection as you get out there.
And just in a word, this is mostly voluntary effort, Harry, is it?
Yeah, that's right. And it's kind of volunteering which anyone can get involved in. So the way the map is produced is really quite interesting. It's an army of people, as you mentioned, a massive group of volunteers. Nearly 4,000 people have got involved in editing since the earthquake, of which over half of them have been new people making their very first edits to OpenStreetMap to help with this earthquake response.
It's a fascinating way of being able to do your bit, isn't it? Harry Wood, thank you very much. This is Digital View on Sky News. Next, the pollsters tell one story, but